you got all this data, did any story that the data tell you?
So we always end the year with a theme, the big bumper issue, right? And this year's theme was overarchingly how to kind of fix Malaysia and the fundamental problems running through it. But what I liked was we went to the ground on this one. We went to our readers back again and actually ran this survey that you had a part in about how to fix Malaysia. And oh my goodness, 21,000. Did you actually expect that many people to go?
No. I personally expected a far lower number of respondents. Pleasantly surprised though. It was an online survey that we did with SurveyMonkey and kind of had a life of its own. It went semi-viral in the last couple of days that we were running it.
And then the thing was, you ran it for how long? 3 weeks?
3 weeks, mid-November to about early December. We had pretty good traction in the last few days of it.
Semi-viral because I saw a lot of people sharing it on Facebook. And then the fact is, when you got all this data, did any story that the data tell you, what surprised you and what didn't kind of surprise you?
I want to talk a bit about the data first because I think all surveys have limitations. So I want to be very, very upfront about where the limitations are.
Well,
so
the fact is
21,000 is a very respectable sample size, but it is very skewed towards an urban crowd. So almost 70% of the respondents are in KL, Selangor. 55% of the respondents are Chinese. And about just over half are above 45 years old, which kind of reflects our readership, I suppose. But having said that, we really did try to push and make sure as many people took the survey. So we did get quite a good cross-section of different ages, different locations.
Yeah, you did push it beyond just Klang Valley as well.
Yeah, for sure. But we also sliced the data in different ways just to remove some of the weightage of the urban crowd.
All right, so let's talk about the fact is of your findings. What surprised you? Because what came up top, for me, was no surprise, was corruption and poor governance.
Oh, that surprised me. I expected more people to be concerned about the high cost of living, only because I think it's something that we've struggled with for most of this year, and it's something that hits a bit closer to home, right?
Hits our car, all of it.
Yeah, but when I was collating the data, I was just pretty shocked that everyone, no matter how you slice the data, whether by race or by age, by location, like we always talk about an urban-rural divide. There is none. Everybody is upset about corruption and poor governance.
Yeah, and actually, funnily enough, because we had other people speak in the paper, former Finance Minister Tun Daim was in it, and his piece talked about the chronic trust deficit, and it's so true.
Oh yeah. This totally backs it up.
True. It backs it up, doesn't it?
He had a wonderfully eloquent piece on how there is just this big trust deficit that we're not addressing. Lack of integrity, rampant corruption, and Tun Daim is not the first person to say it. I think quite recently the Sultan of Perak also talked about the problems of corruption.
The other thing that I did like, which I always feel can be a double-edged sword, is that we asked for comments because. When you give the internet free rein, sometimes the comments are rubbish, but sometimes, they do have some weight. Overwhelmingly, when you went through almost all 21,000 comments, what did they say?
Well, the comments, I guess, corroborate some of the findings here. People in the comments are very, very frustrated about corruption, about the lack of good leadership, poor governance. There's some pretty interesting findings in the survey. Like, for example, a lot of our respondents don't like BRIM, and that's reflected in the comments as well. A lot of people feel like they are very disempowered, and they feel like nothing will change in Malaysia. It's pretty sad.
Yeah, because you had a scale, didn't you, on how optimistic you are, and we aren't.
No, so we asked people to rate Malaysia's prospects 0 to 100, 0 being not optimistic at all, and 100 being most optimistic. Average rating across the board is 38.81.
Which means that
that's a fail.
That's definitely a fail. Nobody feels anything, and that.
Having said that, the most optimistic group are the Malays and the young.
Interesting mostly because I think the young are maybe optimistic by
nature.
Malays, whether they know better or not. But do they ultimately feel that 2017 is going to be better? I mean, that's all I can hope for. I think a year that starts with David Bowie dying is never a good thing.
Well, we asked 2 questions, and which wasn't multiple choice. We asked people to comment. The first question was, what positive things happened this year? A lot of people say nothing positive happened this year. It was all bad, which is not really true. There were positive things. So, going through that list of comments of positive things was quite an interesting walk down memory lane, I suppose, of what good things happened this year, and there are many. Lots of people pointed out that they were very, very happy with the Olympics and Paralympics medal haul. More importantly, not just winning the medals, but the unity that they felt, you know, just sitting at the mamak store and cheering on the Malaysian contingent. I think people miss moments like that where you really feel like...
Where it doesn't matter about race.
Birthday was another one, I guess, because our survey period coincided with the birthday rally in November. People were also generally very, very happy with the fact that the MRT was on track, the LRT extensions were on track.
Do they have any opinions about what next year's going to look like, or they're just battening down the hatches?
Most people say that next year is not going to get better. They just don't see any catalyst for things to improve economically, as well as politically. I think the macro pressures are expected to continue, and people are quite cognizant of that.
Daim says at the end of his piece that if we don't fix what we have right now, you know, it's going to be the future that suffers. And I feel that, you know, that's one thing you got to keep an eye on. For more on the stories, pick up a copy of The Edge Weekly at all good newsstands.